I am of the pure mind of God. I am the resurrection and the life in my body, my finances, my relationships, and my world. I qualify everything in my world with perfection. I am perfection. I am this perfect day, and the life that lives in me is the light that cannot fail. I accept only God's perfection, His good, in my outer circumstances. I know in my heart that God is all in all. I am absolutely not concerned about what happens, because I know wonderful things are happening now.
Hello, Matthew David, the Minister of Allowing, and I don't know what day I'm on, but it's been maybe, I don't know, a week since I stopped eating meat, so I'm giving this new idea a shot, and also incorporating the, intermittent fasting, eating. I do twice a day. I'm doing the twice a day. One time to break the fast. I think that's important, to break it gently. And then the next time is the fully extended version. the fully extended version of the meal, where I go gangbusters. But you gotta check this boat out, this yacht. It's pretty nice. Nice yacht pulled up over there. I'm gonna go check it out. So tonight, the Reverend Sabrina and I are going to go out, and we're going to have burritos, and then we're going to go on a date walk. That's one of the things that we've incorporated to balance things out a little bit. You don't have to. I mean, well, you can, but I quit training like I used to. It was becoming a little more than I was comfortable with, because there was no point. I'm not going to enter any competitions, and I'm not going to, do anything with it. So I wanted a lifestyle change that I could do comfortably and enjoyably. So I switched to 3 days a week of weight training, which doesn't seem like much. That's about half of what I used to do. And I switched to about half of what I used to do in terms of cardio. And then I really started to pay attention to how much I used to eat. I used to eat about 5,000 calories a day, quarantine calories, and that put me at a weight of about 190, 192, something like that, 192, which is a little bit bigger than I'd want to be. So there's a point to this. It's not just vanity. I'm not just talking about that. I'm really talking about dialing it in for spiritual purposes. And you can see these boats going by. I wanted to dial it in because frequency, vibration, change frequency on a dime, my last video. The real secret of that is self-entrainment technique. That's the the go-to for me. But it's not like you can sit there and do the technique all day, so you have to have other methods of just knowing what you're doing, and that's really controlling your emotional intelligence. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. That's what's been on my heart. The world out there, the cortex people, they're just very, very concerned with their IQ. They want to memorize everything and be able to regurgitate facts and data. But come on, let's be honest. That's what we have computers for. And pretty soon we're going to have quantum computers, so humans aren't even going to stand a chance in that realm. So those days are pretty much over. You could be dumb as a box of rocks, and if you have faith and if you have a higher emotional intelligence, you will outperform most all of those individuals that have the high intellect, because everything is a blessing and a curse combined. So what I mean by that is that your curse is your blessing and your blessing is your curse. So if you're walking around strapped with this Promethean IQ, well, it becomes very arrogant for most people. They start to have this elitist mindset that they're, at a certain caliber of comprehension, when if you really get to the bottom of it, man of himself at his best day is vanity to the Lord. So, I remember years ago, I looked into it. I had a very good IQ, very, very good. But it doesn't matter, because when I knew this, that I had a good IQ, I was, reading like a book a day, and I was remembering all these facts and figures, and I was doing all, becoming an expert in things. I was always broke. And I kept thinking, well, gosh, what's it going to take? Well, obedience, faithfulness, trust, surrender. So if you can get your IQ to surrender, and you can get to that place and then still use it, then you have the best of both worlds, I suppose. But you're going to have to learn the emotional side of it, because in reality, you have two things that govern your material universe. And I talk about this in my Luxor training, Luxur. You have your knowledge capacity and your emotional electromagnetic field that comes out of the heart. So out of the heart come the issues of life. Sorry, I just pounded on you probably. I got my microphone sitting there. So your knowledge capacity, that's your thoughts that you're letting yourself concentrate on. You don't own your thoughts. They're not subjective to you. You don't really have a private thought life. Your thought life is not private. The reason why I'll tell you that is because it's showing up in your outer reality. So while you think it's exclusive, that you're having these consistent thoughts that you're thinking over and over every day, and they become, these neural pathways, these dominant go-to perceptions. They're perceptions. Thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions. See, your perceptions are very important. So when you start to shape your world through these perceptions, then you're lying in a belief of sorts. For an example, if you are very good with money, you might have the perception that money flows freely and easily to me now. If you have that, then your perception is going to be that there's an ample supply of it everywhere, and it's going to be very easy for you to be on the hunt for it and to find it, because it's living according to your belief. Man lives in his belief. That's what Phineas Parkhurst Quimby said. He was one of my original earliest mentors through his writings and teachings. I have his manuscripts, and I studied quite intensely his work for a while. So if I sound a little fatigued, it's because I haven't had a drop of food yet today, and I've done a leg workout, and I've already done a weight vest hour hike uphill the whole time. I went to the treadmill and put it on a 10 incline setting and walked for an hour, and haven't had a drop of food yet, and it's getting to be about dinner time. So I'm going to go for this last walk here. And the reason why I'm doing all of this activity, this calorie burning, is because I'm going to eat big. There's two ways to do this, to stay cut and to be lean. There's two ways to do it. You can cut back your calories or increase your activity. And I remember Lee Priest was talking about his bodybuilding days, and I just got to pass. Hold on one second. One of the things he said was he doesn't diet for his bodybuilding shows, and he was, one of the most elite athletes of all time with this incredible symmetry and just shredded, just diced. Well, he said that he just increases his walking every day. So he'll walk an extra hour or two every day just to raise his metabolism, his calorie burn higher, to create that deficit. So that's what I've been doing, and I think I did about 900 calories on the treadmill, maybe a few 400 on the workout, something like that. And my goal is I get to the 4,000, because I like to eat 4,000 calories a day. Now this has to do with the emotional intelligence, by the way, because, well, let's go back to years ago. I discovered this emotional intelligence when I had an eating disorder. Because any part of your life where you have a disorder, you're going to be able to trace it back to, again, something you're thinking, your knowledge capacity. But even more important than that is your emotional set point. The emotional set point is far more important than the thought stream, because the emotional set point has to do with your vibration and frequency, and that determines the thought stream. So again, the mastery course that I made for this is the self-entrainment technique that will get you to that place and bring you to the application of doing it. So just give me a second here. How you guys? We got the scooter brigade out today. It's a nice day, but it's hot. That's why I'm not trying to show my forehead, because I'm telling you it's been like in the 90s every day and I'm just drenched. So I don't think you guys really want to watch that the whole time. But I discovered this years ago, and I've come full circle to discover it in some of the greatest teachings of all time. So you got your emotional electromagnetism that comes out of the heart, and what that does is it draws in the particles of matter that your five senses pick up as your reality construct. And then you look through that reality construct through the knowledge capacity, and that sets your perceptions of life, and those begin to shape beliefs. And once you start shaping beliefs, then you start creating convictions, and these are firmly held beliefs that you sort of occupy, and it's like you have a pair of lenses that you look through constantly, and it shapes your human experience. In the realm of infinite possibilities, you're shaping your human experience through a certain lens, and all you really have to do is change the way all of this functions. But the secret is in the emotional body. It's in the emotions. So if you get to the heart of the matter, because the heart contains the issues of life, that's frequency, electromagnetic fields. Pardon me. So what we want to do is we really want to understand who we are in relationship to our source. We are the image, likeness, and reflection of the deity, God, the great I Am presence within. That presence wants you to know and love the presence I Am, God. Okay? Come to know the Father. And in addition to that, wisdom is going to find you and allow you to gain these perceptions and these insights, and then you can start to take that journey back to the Father again, because that's your purpose. That's your purpose, is to be still and know that I am God, to perfect the outer experience through stillness, which is peace and love. Okay, peace and love are everything. So if you carry peace and love into every dynamic of your life, then you will start to perfect all of the outer dynamics of your life. Because it is the presence within you that has all power. You of yourself can do nothing, and that's the law of least effort. Now, I go over these concepts a lot. I talk about them again and again and again. And the whole idea is that, look, you're not going to fool me because I'm not fooling myself. We get drunk in our senses every single day. We start to believe what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. If we don't constantly turn within and let go of that attachment to the realm of material senses. It's a superstition at best. It's a carefully held illusion, but it's also designed to beguile you at the same time. Just when you think you got it, see, the matrix will change. The matrix, as it were, is most certainly a quantum computer. It's Saturn's matrix, okay? Now, it certainly is a quantum computer because it forever molds and adapts. As you progress in wisdom, it seems to find out where these weak spots are, and we know that the ancient Gnostic text said it was a school. So it's a schoolmaster. And the schoolmaster is wicked. And what it precipitates is ignorance and incompleteness and lack. And it has to get you into a position of want, which is lack, want for something good, so that you will come out there looking for your source. And that's called adultery, and that is the great whore of Babylon and all of these things that are symbolically spoken of in the Bible. And I know a lot of people say, well, what about Jesus? You don't talk about Jesus enough. Well, Jesus is Lord, okay? Jesus, first of all, I want to say that Jesus reigns supreme. It's the name above all names. We've got that. But let me get to the point. If you sit and wonder about what Jesus is doing all day, every day, then I think you're missing the point, because you're supposed to be doing all that he did and then more. And so you might say, well, you know, Jesus is a friend closer than anyone, right? Oh, Jesus is your living imagination. I could go into a long discussion about why I came to that conclusion, but I'm just saying, bam, there it is. I put it on the table. Check it out. Okay, so the Christ is what I'm talking about. The Christ, not Jesus, the man of the flesh. Okay, because the man of the flesh in the Gnostic Gospel said, woe unto you who have seen the Son of Men. See? Because you're looking out there through your five senses. But those who have not seen the Son of Men, they are blessed. Why? Because, they're looking into the imagination, spirit. Spirit, eternal, real, omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. These are the attributes. So, therein lies the message. And so again, I'll talk about tying this all together. See, there's some cool eatery going on here. Smells so good. Unfortunately, I quit eating meat though, right? And they're grilling out. Hey. So my senses are saying, hey, Matthew, come on, let's eat a steak, come on. And I'm good. I don't need that. Anyway, let's go back to emotional intelligence, emotional mastery. So since we know that the quantum computing aspect of Satan's, or did I say Satan? I meant Saturn's computer. I guess they're sort of interchangeable. And it's going to come along and it's going to tempt you and beguile you. What a beautiful yacht. Just wanted you to take that in. So beautiful. And so, just when you think you've got something figured out and you've gained a victory, your outer world's going to become troubled. And we know that that's the case because the ancient Gnostic Gospels say that when truth shows up, it troubles error. And we know that out there is error because it's incomplete. So it becomes troubled, and it shows up as something that's coming for your attention for you to bring correctness to it. So your purpose is to correct and to complete everything in your outer by bringing the truth, which is the living Christ, bringing your imagination to the scene, seeing it as beheld in its completed form. Now, I created the ABC break process to show you the steps of how to do this through consciousness, through applying biblical wisdom and truth, and you becoming of a sound mind, of the pure mind of God.
If you don't want to know, there's garbage cans along the way, feel free.
Now, this is important because where we're going to get to emotional stuff is first we have to understand that these emotions have a meaning. They're telling you you're going in the right or the wrong direction, okay? They're like your navigation system. That's why following the fastest path to your joy is your compass to your dream life in every moment. So the opposite of doing the ABC break process and completing everything in the external that feels like it's lacking for something coming to you that way, and I say feels quite assuredly, that's what I mean, because any thought without a feeling doesn't have any grip on you. But as soon as you put a meaning on something, then you get all tied up in the emotional. See, it's the meanings, it's the perceptions. So the pliable part that you get to work with, okay, are the perceptions. This is where your vantage point of power comes. See, what things mean to you. What things mean to you. I repeat, what things mean to you is the lever that gives you the fulcrum of power to master your emotional state. Perfect example. You get a bill in the mail. This is a great example because this sets off all kinds of different reactions. For some people, no problem. Put the check together or put the credit card information there and just tell them to take it out every month. No problem. That's a very harmonious way to respond. Now, for others who have issues with prosperity, and trust me, I'm not judging anybody because I know all of this because of experience. But let's say a bill comes and it scares you because it's big and it seems to be threatening from out there. So in a split second, I literally repeat, in a split second, your valuation of the experience, as in what it means, is going to have to come into the picture. And I say picture because that's what it is. It's a picture that you're taking in through the five senses. You're taking in a picture, okay? Essentially, the picture is neutral. It has no meaning until you assign one to it. So when you assign a meaning to something and it falls out of peace and love, okay? As soon as any meaning that you assign to any picture out there falls outside of peace and love, as in you're no longer the source of peace or love because your heart is troubled. You're on a downward slope from that point forward. it doesn't get better from there, okay? And you can't get there from there.
Hello, I'm Shen with Allow Ministries. If you are new or just getting warmed up to this material, here's a great place to begin. Use the groundbreaking tools ABC Break Process, Safe Touch, and Self-Entrainment Technique. These are the original Spiritual Millionaire workshop trainings. Matthew David discovered these techniques being bedridden and bankrupt. To develop a 7-figure business and today train like a pro athlete. Within a few minutes, you'll receive the first technique, ABC Break Free, followed by the next one, Safe Touch, 5 days later. Lastly, you'll be invited to learn Matthew's most powerful skill set to shift the vibration. What he believes to be true is you can occupy parallel universes now. This technique is called self-entrainment. You'll be invited to be personally mentored by Matthew David to master this once-in-a-lifetime skill set. Look for that text to arrive in 10 days. Matthew David has streamlined the learning curve to offer you his best material for rapid life transformation at the pace that works. It's a 30-day investment in yourself to achieve the inner game of permanent abundance and vitality structured as daily techniques to build your life strategically on a solid foundation that prospers you for all your days. It's a legacy to learn, profit from, and even teach to your loved ones. To navigate an ever-changing world with timeless and changeless wisdom. Now, it's your turn to rise above your circumstances and prove that all power is within you. Now to the number below and begin your fast track journey to your best life ever. No matter what the outer circumstances seem to be, you can master your world. Starting now.
So some people, including myself and in my earlier times when I was beginning to learn wisdom, I used to be the guy that would get a big bill and I'd say, what the, oh my, I'd get mad, I'd get angry because here I was and I'm trying to get ahead. I'm using my best reasoning, right? And I'm doing everything in my physical and I'm doing everything in my intellectual and I'm doing everything they tell me to do out there in the world. And they're telling me out there to do all these things, and I'm doing them. And you see, Saturn's computer, that quantum computing system, Satan, it's going to trip you. It's going to catch you because you're still beguiled in the middle place because you haven't gotten the lesson yet. So what happened was I would repeat that experience, I don't know, maybe 400,000 times before I finally figured it out. Okay? See, that's what my lovely IQ did for me. My lovely IQ, operating as a cortex person, that front brain that facts and figures rule the world, right? It's all about data. Data is everything. It's all data. I just need more data. I need more knowledge. I need more books. I'll go read another 400 self-help books. That'll help. Yeah, I did that. Like I said, I was broke the whole time. So, I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying it's not the whole picture. Because what happens is in the red hot moment, right? Imagine that my reaction to that was like somebody who went and trained in jiu-jitsu. And they're like, look, you got all these moves. You got all these different strategies. And then they walk into a street fight and they get their butt handed to them in about 2 seconds. Why? Because it's not the same variable. You're training on a field, okay? You're training in an arena that doesn't even apply. So when you read all these self-help books and you read all this material, unless it contains timeless wisdom, what you are looking at is you are looking at someone else's human experience, and you're trying to take that into a street fight against a quantum computer, Saturn's matrix. And Saturn's matrix is a heck of a lot smarter than people want to give it credit for. They think, oh, the devil's stupid. You know, he's just got the same old tricks over and over and over again. And to underestimate your opponent is really, really not a good idea, not a good move. Because, like I said, you build up all this knowledge and you become haughty and you become arrogant. And if you do, and you fall away and you move away from humble and being, you know, of no power of your own and trusting the presence within to do all the heavy lifting, if you turn away from that and you start to get puffed up in your ego and your intellect, I promise you, you'll never outcompete. Your intellect will never outcompete that system set against you. Only God, the deity, the presence I am, the great I am, but the mighty I am, that is your only refuge. That is your only safe space. That is your only hope. And now more than ever, I think you need to hear that message, because the Cortex people, the ones who are designing all of the recent turn of events with all these new rules and the new normal and all these things, these Cortex people, well, they are probably smarter than most of the population. I've had interactions with some people that you would call Illuminati, people that you would say are very well connected to that. Lots of conversations, and I will tell you, the intellectual comprehension and the language that some of these people have is so vast. They're way smarter, way smarter, way smarter on average than your average person walking the earth today. And so, consequently, in their arrogance, they can be easily outmaneuvered as well. You can be dumb as a box of rocks and outmaneuver them, because it's not your battle. That's the whole point. But when you make it your battle, well, then you're going up against a trained warrior in a street fight, and all you have are some dojo skills with no real live scenario to deal with. It's like you got a couple kicks and some punches and a couple takedown moves, and I'm sorry, but they're going to come at you with bats and knives, and they're going to beat the living you-know-what straight out of you. In a New York minute, they are going to punish you like you've never been punished before, because you wanted to take the battle upon yourself. Now, how did you take the battle upon yourself? Same way that I did when I'd see that bill in the mail. And I would get angry at the person that sent the bill. I would be angered. Because a lot of times, you know, those debts, they'd tack on interest and fees and penalties and threat calls and this and that. You know, I've been there, done that. And what I'm telling you is that your emotional intelligence is everything, because the minute you get upset and you break the peace contract in your heart and you start deciding who's right and who's wrong and all of this stuff and step into your reasoning, you have just made it your battle. How did you lose the battle? Through the heart. Because you broke the commandment of all commandments, to love God and to love thy neighbor. It is so simple, but I'll tell you what, how simple is it? How simple is it when somebody is on TV saying how they are going to come force a performance on you? Forced performance is rape, by the way. How simple is it for you, through your human reasoning, to love even those who seek to do you harm? How simple is it for you to hold peace in your heart and to even send them love and blessings. That's what you call emotional intelligence. Hey, it's a good beach day today. Well, I'm not saying I'm perfect either, okay? I'm not judging you. I'm not judging anyone, because the reason why I keep saying this over and over again every transmission is because if you don't keep hearing it over and over again, then I've not done my job as a minister. Yeah, the minister's job is to repeatedly tell you the same thing over and over again so that you can keep tapping into the truth and stay away from the things that are going to take you into harm's way. And so that's why, if you keep tuning into this, you're going to say, well, Matthew, geez, you got some good stuff, but man, you keep saying the same thing over and over again. Well, some preachers that are the best in the world have one scripture, and they're going to give you the hour sermon every single time you show up, because you still haven't gotten it yet. Do you know that I've listened to some talks on truth literally dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and every time I get something new out of it, every single time. Now that's also emotional intelligence. Now, because my ego says, this is dumb, don't do, you already listened to that. My reasoning mind starts to go off. You see, and in that split second, remember what I said about that picture that comes to you, this picture in your mind. Okay, so immediately I had a picture in my mind of having to invest another hour of my life listening to the same thing I've heard so many times I could probably recite it word for word. And the picture says that we can do other things, it's more important. But in that split second, I changed the meaning of it. And because I changed the meaning of it, it becomes the fastest path to my joy. Now get this. It becomes the fastest path to my joy because I changed the meaning of it. So an example is, the gospel of truth in the Gnostic teachings. I listened to that. I used to listen to that every day for probably a few months. Every single day. It was part of my 2 to 3 hour study every single day. There's like 1 hour, 30 minutes of that. I'm going to do that one every single time. Because what I decided that it was going to mean for me was that I am going to discover God's laws, and I am going to get victory this time around. I am going to win, and I'm going to win, and I'm going to win. So what it meant to me was it meant winning. Winning. And the joy and satisfaction of winning. See, as opposed to going and listening to some YouTube person who has, their daily content of their opinion of how the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and look at the new findings, look at the new pedos today, look at all this, right? What's that going to do to your heart? What's that going to do to your heart? Because I wanted to win, you see? Because I only care about winning in this lifetime. I need to do this for my family. I have to win. That means to wear the crown of glory. That means to pursue God with all of my vigor and all of my passion. Who gives a flying you-know-what about having millions and millions and millions of dollars? Who cares? It's not going to do anything for you other than expand who you already are. If you're sitting there feeling inadequate at some level, and you're saying, well, I'm just going to go make all this money, because if I get this money, then I'm going to, I'm going to get that big mansion I've been wanting, and I'm going to be able to turn heads when I get my Bugatti and my my helicopter and my private jet, and then. Yeah, God let me witness that plan. See, I was that person, and then, all of the darkness in my heart got exposed when I got to that level. I realized that I was an A to the HOLE because I had an anger problem. And what did I tell you? Your emotional intelligence is more important than anything. So what happened was, you see, having a lot more wealth is a blessing if you are in the blessing. But if you've got undealt with issues, it brings a spotlight that shines so bright that everybody begins to notice, and it's no longer a little thing, it becomes a big thing. So my little anger fits became pretty big anger fits because, well, by God, I got all this stuff now and I'm still not happy. What the heck happened? Well, what happened was I just magnified what was going on inside of me. That's not good or bad. It just tells you that's what's going to happen. And yes, I was giving a lot more because I was generous, so my giving went up quite a bit. Although, what began to show up as well is I began to have negotiations with God about, I don't know if I really want to tithe this much, This is kind of a lot. I don't know, do I have to? And so I was losing every piece of ground that I gained. And I didn't even realize what I was doing because I was getting mad. I was getting mad about paying everything. Because my cost of living went up so high that my rent would come due and it was like $7,500, and then I'd have 5 different utility bills. So that was an additional $4,000 to $5,000 that would come. And then I had my landscaping bills and snow removal alone, and this wintertime was $2,000 a month. And then I had all this pool cleaning maintenance, and I had $25,000 a month is what it cost me as my basic overhead expenses. And I became resentful very fast of every bill that had to go out. And you see, immediately in that moment, when resentment kicked in, it took me out of peace and love, and it broke my contract with God. And your tithe won't even save you at that point. I want to tell you that right now. If you break that continuity of good that is seeking to express through you, the only good is that good which God bestows. So God poured all this stuff into my experience because I had it down, I had it right. I was so grateful. I never stopped being grateful when it all first began. So listen to this lesson in emotional intelligence. You're going to like this. Now, I started to come out of having the Lyme disease. And I was so grateful for every little thing. I just poured gratitude day and night and minute by minute. I was just broke out happy and ready for more. That's the vibrational alignment space with a perpetual outpouring of gratitude and love, moment by moment. That's, if you want to be rich, there's the alignment space. Happy and ready for more with perpetual gratitude for every single thing in your experience, and a heart that wants to give. And then more will be brought onto you real fast. But you see, I became quickly mesmerized out there by the illusions of, size, density, quality, the size of the bills. Okay, I started to believe that was somehow a burden in my life. It wasn't a blessing anymore, now it was a burden. I changed the meaning. Get this, the minute I changed the meaning of what it meant, it was no longer for God's glory. It was no longer a blessing to be a blessing and to be able to wonderfully pay these bills with love and peace in my heart. It became a, screw you, man, look at all this money I'm wasting. The minute that happened, the minute I changed that meaning, was the minute it all started to fall apart. It all started to fall apart at that point. So, you can see that you have these attractive forces and you have these repellent forces. And you have to know where you are vibrationally at all times, and your emotions are your gauge. They are telling you if you're feeling these heavy, burdensome emotions, that your meanings, the meanings that you have placed on essentially neutral scenarios, are distorted in the sight of God. And so what you have to do is you have to stop and correct if you want the blessing to remain and the continuity to persist. If you're looking at your Facebook and you're seeing all of the nastiness that's being served up about how wicked all of these people are, what meaning are you assigning to that? I just want to caution you about that, because God created all and called it good. And if you're choosing not to remain in peace and send forth love to all, the minute you change the meaning is the minute it all started to go down. And you may not see the full effects of it yet, because things don't crumble in a flash always. See, the vibrational tailwind takes a little time. But what happens is, it's like a top spinning on the table. You may have been spinning joy, peace, love, and gratitude on that table, and it kept going and going and going and going and going. But then all of a sudden, that Saturn's computer, that Saturn's matrix, don't underestimate it. It's seen so many come and go that have tried, just like in the movie The Matrix, they've tried to go up against it and they've been destroyed. And I'm going to tell you how they were destroyed every time. They tried to go up against it on their own strength, by breaking their peace and their love, and by taking a meaning of events that was not wholesome in the sight of God. And therefore, they ended up blaspheming against the Holy Ghost by putting a graven image in front of their imagination. And then they backed it up with reasoning. And reasoning is of the devil. And then they're caught in the conundrum of the labyrinth of their mind. And they don't have a clue how to get out, and they don't even know that they got stuck. And then it becomes a down pressure. Kind of like if a plane stalls and all of a sudden it gets caught in a bad funnel down. Sometimes there's no pulling out of it. It crashes. So things get turbulent. Then you got to be careful you don't stall. Because if you stall and you get caught in a bad vortex, if you get caught in a bad vortex and it begins to pull you down, I just want to caution you, you might not pull out. Hey, death is not the worst thing that could happen, but it's not the only option you have on the table. So take that as whatever you want to take it as, but when I say things to you, I don't have an agenda. I just flow and go, and I let the voice within just have the floor. And so this transmission I hope it speaks to you. So what do things mean? Well, remember that you can stop and correct right now. Let me ask you a question. Can any part of God's members attack another part of God's members? Does God have an autoimmune disease? Does God attack itself? No. Well, I guess that solves it then, doesn't it? Only the good is true. How's that for a meaning? You see, when I begin to assert that, then all of a sudden I begin to pull out of the stall. I begin to pull out of the stall, and I begin to bring that nose and bring some speed, and then I'm pulling out of that stall. Pulling out of the stall before it's too late. And it has to do with the emotional intelligence. But the triggering part that gives you the fulcrum of leverage, the part that gives you the control, is the meanings that you're putting on that are shaping your beliefs, because they're deciding what perceptions you're holding. If you knew that out there was nothing but incompleteness and being brought up for you to pour your love into, so that the great presence, the mighty I am within, in conjunction with the living imagination, the Christ, seeing things as already in their highest potential, if you knew that that was your job, then it would be a completely different response, wouldn't it? Well, what I'm suggesting to you as a minister is that that is your job. So I'm going to leave you with that. I want to send you love. I know you're doing a great job. And I want to tell you that there's more power in you than the entire world. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Because there's no weakness in any ounce of God. And there's no failure in any ounce of God. And God only knows victory. And God moves in and out of all space from victory to victory. And if you are of God and you are the child of God, and I promise you that you are, then you were born to be in victory over all, no matter what it looks like. And your weapons, listen to this again if you didn't get it, but you've been equipped. You know what to do. Take care.
Hello, I'm Julie with Allow Ministries on behalf of Matthew David Hurtado. Are you ready to end self-sabotage, procrastination, and distraction? Clarity, certainty, and a proven plan of action is what it takes to get anything you want in life. Training is the answer. Matthew David Hurtado's Spiritual Millionaire Workshop is the one-step solution that finally puts you in control of your destiny. What Matthew discovered about building a 7-figure business and perfect well-being when he was bedridden and bankrupt with Lyme disease is that mentorship is success without the wait. It works. At allowuniversity.com, you'll discover how to walk in victory. Learn how to prosper in every area with unstoppable daily habits and a step-by-step training to build your dream business immediately following the event, a success training for a lifetime of achievement. Walk in financial increase, living a life you love. Go to allowuniversity.com and say yes to your destiny.